Hello, everyone. Thanks for having us, and thank you to CM Ventures for partnering with Pepsico, supporting us in our sustainability ventures this year. Now, why do we have a multinational consumer packaged goods company running sustainability accelerators? This has to do with our own commitment to sustainability. So part of that is based on our product footprint. Today, as we just pointed out, we do have some core products to share with you. So on the beverage side, for our bottlers, we produce Pepsi, Mirinda, and on the snack side, you'll see, of course, Lay's, potato chips, Doritos, Cheetos, Quaker Oats, and that has everything to do with our footprint and our sustainability goals. So to get us started, there we go. So if we look first at our starting point for why we drive innovation and sustainability, first we have to look at the framework we use. So when we look at end-to-end sustainability for PepsiCo, we're looking at everything from the way we grow our crops sustainably, how the soil is replenished using regenerative agriculture, how we work with our growers, all the way to how do we make, move, distribute our products, go to market, and then to the products themselves. How do we reduce salt, saturated fat, and sugar, and create healthier choices for the consumer? So given this sustainability framework, we also have quite key focuses in the challenges. So you can see with agriculture and with our value chain, we often have to work with third parties because the solutions rest outside of PepsiCo's system, right? So that has been the basis for why we run an accelerator looking for external innovations. And you can see that the purpose of this, bringing a global accelerator into APAC, is to find solutions to these challenges. We want to collaborate with external partnerships, with technologies, as well as the investors and other corporates as well. We want to grow the engagement of sustainability internally as well as externally. And we also want to test and learn. And the last part is really key to this program, right? Testing and learning is how we both implement, how we learn to implement, and then the first step to scaling a lot of the technologies. So as a fundamental basis for this structure, you'll see that it's a grant-based program, right? So we take 10 startups throughout Asia Pacific, not just China, but everywhere we operate throughout this region, all the way from Japan, Korea, to Southeast Asia, to Australia, New Zealand as well. And we put them through the accelerator with $20,000 of US dollars of grant funding each. This is non-dilutive, with a winner receiving $100,000 as a prize, also non-dilutive. We find that that is the best way to also test and learn without strings, but also support an ecosystem and help grow it dynamically. What's really key and different about this program is the 5 months of mentorship. So we pair each startup with 2 PepsiCo leaders for a period of 5 months, and this is dedicated mentorship, which means they come to us saying, we want to optimize our business, or we want to build a marketing strategy. So we select the mentors based on our startup's needs. And another critical aspect is, because this is a regional accelerator and we do run business operations all throughout the region, the potential there is to scale beyond the home market, right? So we're looking at and we're selecting for solutions that could go from China to Thailand, or China to Indonesia, maybe Thailand to Vietnam, Australia to Thailand, etc. And so what we're looking for in driving this program is, how do we build an ecosystem around it that supports sustainability, technology, through the startups, through, what are the gaps needed to grow those startups and innovations, and then bring them to scale. And the disconnects here, I won't go into detail because I think we're well aware, when we talk about the valley of death, when we talk about, the funding that's not there to grow, we offer more than just funding. We see a lot of resources not enough resources being attributed to the gap between an innovation and how it's actually being used in a business, right? So as the end user, we find our role is really critical in saying, hey, this is a great technology, say in heat pumps. How are we going to use it in our own manufacturing facilities? Or how would our suppliers implement this as well? And that's the value we add. Again, Mentorship is also critical here because it allows for really integrated, in-depth, hands-on work over 5 months as a substantial period of time. We also have, of course, continuous access for funding. Now, I want to say, we're also a little bit of a startup. So when we started this program in 2023, we did not have the ecosystem of partners that we do today, too. But what we're continuously aiming to do is work with our VC partners, with other corporate venture capitals, with programs potentially like the ones you see here today, in driving support for the startups, and also the cross-border expansion and exposure that the startups will receive. So what we do a little differently in this accelerator is, rather than giving a challenge statement, we actually keep it to the exact solutions we would like to see. And part of that is key to showing the market that there is a demand signal out there for these solutions out there, and that as an end user, we would like to test and learn and use these. So, in each of these challenge areas, when it comes to agriculture, we're looking to fill the gaps for regenerative agriculture usage, for example, with smallholder growers in Thailand and Vietnam, or how do we reduce the usage of pesticides, reduce the usage of fertilizers. These are all the solutions we see as key to closing that gap. When it comes to emissions, same as well. We're looking for innovative solutions as well, so that also includes carbon capture. We worked with a carbon mineralization startup as well. We're also looking for ways to expand an existing solution into a new field. So that could be pivoting into, say, food and ag. It could be pivoting into a new space a startup has never approached before. And lastly, when it comes to circular economy, this for us is really key, given that we are a consumer packaged goods company, right? Circularity is one of the biggest aims for sustainability and for our program. So any solutions that are really going to close the gap for collection rates, sortation, improving the yield and the volume of recyclable materials is key for us. And, we did have a great year last year. We managed to achieve quite a few pilots with our startups, but, there's really only 2 figures on this slide that are key here for today. And the first is 200 working sessions between the startups and their mentors, because that is really the basis to how we collaborate and how we take them to pilots. So the second number would be the 7 pilots that last year's cohort was able to start within the space of last year. And so when we say working sessions, why we really, really hammer this point home is because we're really pairing the startups with our leadership. So we have GMs joining the program, we have CFOs, we have procurement directors, and they're volunteers. This is not a mandatory session for them, but the exposure they get to sustainable innovations and the desire to work with a startup in a space that's fresh, it also expands their view of how to better drive business and how to do business more sustainably. And just to dip a bit more into the pilots there, 7 pilots 2024 takes us to 16 over 2 years total. And a lot of this is really, we select 4 startups that have the potential to pilot with us already. So the selection criteria is there. But what we aim to do is test and learn as fast as possible, and also give the startups an opportunity to prove their solution in a multinational's value chain. So 4 first-of-a-kind pilots is something that we're really quite proud of. One thing to highlight there is that was with Aspiring Materials in New Zealand. That was the carbon mineralization process that we had mentioned earlier. Now, that is one key aspect where when you have an early-stage startup with a very promising technology, in this case, mineralizing magnesium hydroxide, turning that into magnesium carbonate. When you're at the point of proof of concept where your investors are looking at you and saying, but does this work? And will you be able to use this in real life setting? That's what we're able to work with Aspiring Materials on. So they built out a specialized demo rig just for our own tortilla chip line in the Weary Snacks plant. They completed this pilot with 6 figures of grant funding, and Now they have a proof of concept that they are sharing. So these are the big wins that we're hoping will catalyze the entire industry and move that forward. And also to keep going with this, we're really quite proud of both our winners, but also all the pilots they're able to run. So we're constantly looking for ways to, reduce energy usage or shift that to renewables. And this was a key aspect of why Alterno was a great winner from last year. In terms of sand batteries or sand as a substrate for batteries, now this is not necessarily a new technology, but in APAC, they had a very different approach. They were able to take it, modularize it, reduce the cost of it, and show that they could put that into a factory almost in a small build so that it would take minimal space in a production facility. And we're able to scale that as your electricity needs would require. For also how we work in Accelerator, because Stefan and Kehan are with us today, I won't cover these, but what I wanted to share about these two particular types of collaborations is when we look at Endwise, we're looking at, within the Accelerator, how do we help a solution go beyond just one customer or one type of customer? How do we help them expand their customer base and channels so that they're not just dependent as a startup on, say, one group? And then for Powered Carbon, we actually initially looked at them as a solution for industrial chemicals. That's what was on the application. But they came in and we realized they actually had agricultural application and input. So now we're still working with them on a more agricultural basis. Lastly, unfortunately, we have chosen this year's cohort, and we're very proud of them. We announced them 2 weeks ago, but this would give everyone an idea of exactly the types of solutions we are looking for. So for agriculture, we're really looking for circular sources, biofertilizers. You'll see that with SCAD, with AI Force Tech, which was also introduced to us by Vertex here. We're looking at electric tractors and autonomous robotics in the agricultural field. We're looking at, for circular economy, ways to increase the sortation, the quality of the feedstock. So that is Data Beyond, and they're a hardware producer with AI technology. We're looking to scale that from just PET and rigids into more difficult to work with materials, low-value plastics, flexible films, multi-layer plastics, etc. We're also looking at the capability of expanding that hardware footprint outside of China, much more into developing markets like Southeast Asia. And then if you can see, of course, there's materials like PHA Builder. There is digital technology on tracing and tracking waste, like Circular Unite, aggregators of low-value film, like Bali Waste Cycle in Indonesia, and then a mobile PET collection, sortation, and shredding solution, Digo Labs from Korea. And then lastly, for climate action, we are still exploring the usages of hydrogen. So the modular solution Endua has in Australia, looking to see where that could be implemented, potentially on site. With Calix, life cycle assessment solution with digital enablement, how do we make LCAs faster? And then, a branch of Shanghai Electric Group, Shanghai Electric, which is upgraded heat system using molten salt. And so what I would really like to leave everyone with is, we're looking for the opportunity to partner much more broadly. We're really thankful that this year we're working with CM Ventures, working with GRC, another VC, working with the CVC of PTGGC, GC Ventures. And, this has enabled us to both expand the kind of solutions we work with, but also deepen what we're able to offer these startups in terms of feedback, tailored, mentoring, and also a path to potential fundraising. So we want to continue this collaboration. Our team is here today, so really, really looking forward to meeting more of you and continuing the conversation. Thank you.